we've done Fly on Thief. I do kind of want to get another Firebrand perspective. Dude, there's fucking 4 Revenants in this game. Okay. Let's go with a static Firebrand gameplay. So we will do a particular class coverage, okay? I don't want to cover Berserker, guys, simply because Berserker is going to be removed, and yesterday we did that. Like, it's not going to be removed, but it's going to be nerfed. If you want to go and see Berserker coverage, go and check out the games from yesterday. Okay, we did Berserker twice. I'm not doing Berserker. I'm not doing it. Gauntlet, okay. You know what? Somebody actually asked me in the YouTube comments yesterday. They said, please don't cover other classes. We're going to make assumptions. So I'm going to do this really quick. We have a Scourge for team fight. We have the Firebrand support that we're going to be covering. We have Torben, who's doing the normal rotational rev damage. Controller also playing the same build. Fly on the Sword Dagger Core Thief. Pain is playing Sword Staff Rev. Nemows on exactly the same build. So 4 Revenants in this game. I wonder why. Thanatos is also playing the Scourge. Just want to confirm he's on Blood. So he is on Blood. So we're going to see some resin going on. Gauntlet just confirming. Okay, sorry. So Gauntlet is focused on Corruption. Thanatos is focused on resin. Zintrex playing Berserker. So looking to do masses of AoE damage. And finally, we have Aeon, who is playing a dedicated Firebrand role as well with Thanatos. So, Blackjack. Looks to be running everything standard. Has unhindered delivery. So running the... So he has three charges of stability on the elite, like the mantra, which I think is like standard unless you run renewed focus. So it's between renewed focus and this one, depending on like what you want to put out. If you want to put out stability for your team, then you run mantra of lib. Now, both Firebrands are running Signet Mercy for resets. The reason I'm covering this class again is because in the past we have we've looked at Aeon. And Aeon was playing Firebrand in a setting where she was rotating and sort of like node sustaining. In this instance, we're going to see a very team fight oriented Firebrand just being completely eliminated by the damage of Zintrex and the 2 Revenants combined. But with Blackjack, he's obviously like, he's got God of PvP. He is a Guardian main, and he will be following Gauntlet in the majority of engagements. Now, in this instance, he might wait for Gauntlet to respawn, or he might rotate out with Torben and wait for Gauntlet to come to him. They need to be aware that they've kind of forced this spread. So Fly is currently pushing around the far node, kiting around, wasting some time whilst these players respawn. They're pushing straight into their close node to defend it from Pain and to prevent any kind of disengage. Controller does bleed out in front of their eyes. Blackjack probably would have rushed to that if he had Signet Mercy. He does have Merciful Intervention as well for teleporting. I should quickly go over his build. It is standard Valor, Honor, Firebrand. And he is running Rune of the Monk with Menders on Staff, Mace, Shield. So I do believe that the Mace provides you with pretty good protection uptime. Zintrex just spin to win on top of Torben and Fly and killed everybody. There's Arc Divider again. Guaranteed. Dude, let's have a look. So I get to see the actual damage that he does. So let's find this Arc Divider. So 6.9k Arc Divider, 8.3k Arc Divider. Was that the third tick? 6.9, 8.3. I think he did two spins, right? So yeah, okay. Blackjack only ate 2 of them, but he took 14,000 damage from just that ability. Fly and Torben had already died to the first strike. So yeah, masses of damage coming out of Zintrex right now. Red team need to regroup, and this is exactly what they're doing. So Fly and Torben and Blackjack together, waiting for Gauntlet to jump out of base. I think Gauntlet is waiting for Brian. He doesn't want to jump down and be overcommit by the Revenants. He's actually able to do damage from here as well. So he's still placing damage. He's not AFK. He's still placing those unblockable marks and such. Just gotta watch Zintrex. Zintrex is the one person who's going to be killing everybody here. So they're focusing on Zintrex. Eats a lot of damage. Watch the Signet Mercy possibly coming out of Aeon. She starts casting. They interrupt with the Herald knockback there. So Blackjack's still pumping out stability to his team. They have a lot of might distribution. 25 might stack on the entire team. And they have wiped blue. They have reset this, so this is perfect. They regrouped and they came out as a 5 and they just reset the entire game. Sometimes, you're not really going to see this kind of thing happen in solo queue, by the way. This is something that you'll mainly see possible. I mean, in Plat 3 and Legendary, you see this kind of play. I just want to pick up on this, by the way. Blackjack has rotated into the far node because he knows that the blue team are going to be respawning here and coming to this position immediately. So he's come here to resustain Torben. Now they have both Revenants engaging on Zintrex, and Blackjack is still hanging around in order to possibly resustain them. It just pumps out swiftness onto Torben and Controller so they can keep up with anybody to get in downstate. The win condition for Red Team is literally just to punish Zintrex. Obviously, they have to worry about their sustainability, so fighting into double Revenant, 2 Revenants can absolutely dispatch Blackjack in a second. So watching Blackjack kite in this game will be very, very important. This is on the blue team again to force a reset. However, they haven't done it properly. Aoki Payne has pushed straight to the far node to get a decap. The Guardian, Aeon, has pushed towards the mid, so they're decapping 2 nodes simultaneously. But in result, they have lost Thanatos, who might be getting Signet right now. They actually secure the body with Cleave, and Zintrex moves in on top of the body to actually get some Cleave. So Zintrex was attempting to punish there. Signet Mercy does go off on a Zintrex. Blackjack is keeping up with Controller to ensure that he does, remain sustained whilst they push into this 3-man. And now this is definitely in the favor of the red team once more. So they still have one node ticking. Honestly, what cucked the blue team there was their overcommittal, by the way. So they commit 3 players to the team fight, and then they actually put 2 people spread. So they had Aeon on mid and they had Payne on far. What they should have done was force the 5v5 and then get the decaps and the map control. So what they did was they split themselves in like a 3-1-1, and then the red team took control of that by punishing Thanatos immediately, which dispatched their entire team fight. Now they're on a staggered respawn, and they're going to have to wait for each other. However, Thanatos being early dispatched has meant that he has come out of base early, which means he does get picked off. This is a thing that happens in solo queue all the time. So now the Scourge is going to die, and the Scourge is going to be on a staggered respawn. Assuming that somebody does manage to secure this death. Zintrex is trying to get the res. The last thing they might get they might overcommit. They do get the res from Aeon. That's perfect. Zintrex now spinning on them as well. Okay, so Blackjack's positioning is to resustain the entire team after eating the double arc divider. Aeon has gone down as well, but did not rally off of Blackjack, but does get rezzed anyway. Controller getting hard pressure because Blackjack isn't there to resustain the team fight anymore. One of the primary differences here is just that Blackjack is always engaged in these team fights. You don't really see Blackjack by himself. The only instance where you did see him by himself was when he capped the far node whilst the 2 Revenants pressured off the Berserker, and he knew that he had map pressure because they had a 5v4, so it made sense for Blackjack to just sit there and ensure the cap, because he's not really bringing anything apart from sustain. And when he doesn't have to bring that sustainability, it's not really a big deal. He can kind of just sit there on that node. So in this instance, he has pushed mid with the double rev. This obviously creates a 2v3, and it does mean that any pressure that Thanatos puts out does get negated by Blackjack. Blackjack's original positioning was to decap the mid, which he achieved, and then pushed into his team fight towards his teammates. So again, the 2 Revenants do pressure Aeon immediately. Zintrex spins to win on Blackjack. Gauntlet fears Zintrex away and keeps pumping damage onto him. He's bleeding out with those fucking conditions. And now Gauntlet's going to secure this res whilst Nimal tries to prevent. Nimal dies to the passive condition damage that came out from Gauntlet. I think he dropped Ghastly Breach. I'm not sure. He did. He dropped Ghastly Breach Elite, so he actually was pumping a lot of condition damage underneath the body while he got the res. So good synergy there between the Scourge and the Firebrand. And now Blackjack is resustaining Torben. Gauntlet is behind on the node, capping the node, so they're still getting damage from the Scourge, but they do have the resustain of Blackjack to, relieve any pressure that the blue team do put out. Now again, you can see how this is kind of like an ongoing reset capability. So instead of just like, as we saw before with Aeon rotating in and gaining reset because of, things like Merciful Intervention, getting a res, and then resustaining a player, just like rotating around the map, this is a permanent resustain. So it is constantly looking for these battles, but, pretty much looking to maintain node ownership as well. So always looking for these 4v4s, 5v5s, 3v3s, and pumping out heals and resustain. Obviously using the big cooldowns as soon as Zintrex does throw out the arc dividers, and making sure not to waste cooldowns until absolutely necessary. Pumping out the stability there underneath the feet of Gauntlet, and channels the Signet and Mercy after using the stability. So ensured that the stability existed so that he could not be CC'd by anything that came out from the Berserker. Now all players are down on the blue team. Zintrex does get CC'd off node, and that will be the game. They're going to finish this with the kills. Zintrex is the last person to go down and provide the 5 points. So that game was actually very, very high rated. All these players are like legendary players. In fact, I think everybody that's playing in this game has reached legendary. So that's a really interesting final. That game did go back and forth, but really good job on Red. You can see here that at the 4th minute is where the Red team actually took it back, and they were pretty much the only people that got anything from the 4th minute. Two team fights here that completely wiped out the blue team, and then the blue team almost came back, but I think what happened, what you can see here, there was 2 deaths, right? So there was 2 deaths in like that's like the 8th minute, and that was a stagger. So that's when the Scourge like went down, and I think that they forced a lot of cooldowns out to refresh the Scourge. Scourge should not have pushed out by itself and died. And that's kind of what I think caused the blue team to get fucked here. You know, because they did have 3 kills, but it didn't really equate to anything because the red team were able to still stagger them. So, you know, GG's all fucking round. I think that showcases different styles of play and resustain and build. So, cool. All right, I like that. That was actually a really good play. Thank you, guys.